All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of We're Not From Hollywood podcast. I'm your host, Faizel John Moment.
And I'm Brandon Reines. And today on the show, we have two guests. We have Louie and Monica from Found TV. It is a streaming service that caters specifically to found footage movies, which I didn't meet them until they picked up my I'm Haunted series. And I didn't even know that found footage films were popular enough to have a dedicated streaming service. So I was kind of like, wow, that's an odd idea. But after talking with them on a few meetings and everything, I'm starting to realize the brilliance of the idea and how many fans of this genre there are. So thanks for being on the show, guys.
Thank you for
Yeah,
having us.
thank you guys for having us. Thanks everybody watching.
Yeah, so maybe tell us about how you started this business and what made you choose this genre of film.
That's a great question.
Yeah, well, we don't like sleep, so that's
Yeah.
that's a good start.
We're clones, actually.
Yeah,
There's like
yeah.
six more of us in the house right
It's
now.
a revolving cast.
Yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
exactly.
Yeah, we're fully cloned robots.
It actually started with our own first feature film that we came out with called Invited, which is a Screenlife film. And we were well into post, I think. And it was one of the years where we were at TIFF. And Louis had this great idea while we were there. You know what? It's so hard to get found footage anywhere. Like, there's just not a real home for it. And he was like, we should start our own streaming platform, right? Because that would be
Easy.
super easy.
Yeah, because we're navigating the perfect podcast. We're not Hollywood, navigating the Hollywood system for other projects, the big budget projects, and that's hard enough to get financed and produced and off the ground and then out there. And as you're working on a lower budget but great story film, it sometimes is exponentially harder just to get noticed. And we saw that, but we also, I've been a fan of found footage for a long time, of course. Blair Witch was one of those first ones that everybody talks about being a big commercial success. But even before that, watching crazy films like Faces of Death and whatnot, there is a rabid fan base and a cool found footage family out there, both filmmaker and fan. And us creating one of those and thinking, there has to be a good way to kind of connect all of that and get the fans to have a one-stop shop so they can really find their favorite films and filmmakers to find a home. We found that it was hard to get noticed. Found footage is out there, but we always get asked, and we see it in the Facebook groups and whatnot, like where do I find this film? How do I notice what the next one is and things like that. So we wanted to create something that created a nice community.
Immediately, as I'm listening to you guys, I started thinking about it, and my question is, you kind of hinted at it a little bit. It sounds like a gargantuan task getting this, because like start streaming service, like there's the technical side. I want to ask, like, how do you handle all the bandwidth coming in, and then you have to, like, each movie represents a video file, and each one of those files needs to go out over the internet, and like you have to be able to support like all those hundreds of connections. On top of that, you have to juggle licensing. I don't even want to know how that works.
Yeah.
So like, are you guys just hyper focused, like hyper organized, and have like
hyper
Excel sheets?
non-focused, and that helps me. She's hyper focused, which
Yeah,
helps.
we have like each other's strengths and weaknesses like are totally matched. Like, so just to give a little background, before we became filmmakers, we're both separately owned our own businesses. We're both entrepreneurs for like a few decades. So we knew going into this, like, if anybody was going to do it and be able to pull it off, it would be us, just because of our backgrounds and that kind of knowledge that we had. We actually had recently an AMA on Reddit for Found, and that was one of the questions that we got right away, was like, how do you even begin? Like, how do you start? And
Like, when
honestly,
you guys were saying you don't like to sleep, that's not a joke. I can't imagine you guys sleep with that
Yeah.
much work to juggle.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
a year ago we had no idea what we were doing either. But like, so it was last year at TIFF, so 2023, you had the idea, and then it was all like researching developers and companies that kind of like where would we place ourselves to be able to even start this. And then it was in April, officially we had decided in 2024 we were going to go for it. So that was it. I've been full-time since then, and I mean, you're also full-time on top of other full-time, so it's like multiple full-times. We've got 20 full-time jobs before the between.
Yeah. I have a marketing agency as well that works within the entertainment industry and whatnot as well. But that adds another layer of fun, but also connects too. Because I've been in
Exactly.
entertainment for a long time, in television and then music, and then here Monica's run big events and whatnot. So yeah, the formula to create that sort of was perfect I guess, skill set. But you're right, there's different layers. There's the developer layer, there's the how do we build the apps, who do we hire, get Amazon servers involved and make sure that's scalable. And then there's the licensing. We're a global app. We're in 112 countries and growing, which is awesome as a start. And being on top of bringing films on and supporting filmmakers around the world and trying to find what's the best solution for the filmmaker. And Brandon, we're very much filmmaker focused. It's what's best for the filmmaker.
Yeah.
We're not always let's get exclusive and this and that. It's like what do you want to do with your film? How do we support that and then get it to the fans?
Yeah.
Yeah, I also one thing like I love about Found TV over like every other streaming service, because I distributed, I met you guys kind of through Film Hub, where you picked up my first movie. They're like obviously there's big streaming service like Tubi, where it's like you make decent money on Tubi, they're huge, but I don't even know if there's a human that works there. Like they're so like you're not allowed to contact them. They even have rules like you're not even allowed to like use their logo when you're promoting the movie. Like they're so cold and distant that it's like they'll take your movie and they'll pay you, but heaven forbid they'll speak to you. Whereas you guys have monthly meetings with the filmmakers that anyone can join. And so you let them know what's going on. You ask us what we want. You're trying new stuff with the t-shirts and the merchandise, and like it just seems like you're definitely more approachable, and it seems like you're putting effort into it rather than just you have some system that generates ad revenue and then you sit at home and do nothing because it's too big to fail kind of thing.
Totally.
So yeah, thank you for that, because that like it's like a breath of fresh air that like, hey, I could talk to a real person and message them and they'll respond.
Saying that's honestly like one of our core values was to keep that connection going, because I mean, what is life without connections, right? Like we want to build that, and we want to build a community around everybody, but most especially our filmmakers, because without you guys, we don't have entertainment. And we know that as filmmakers ourselves. Like that is the core of what we do. And it's so important to be able to have those relationships and build those friendships with everybody. So thank you for saying that, because I'm glad that got across.
Yeah. It is trying to create a big family, even with the fans. We're in on Reddit and Facebook and Discord, and we're just there. And even people are surprised that, oh my gosh, some of the, the founders of Found TV are in the Reddit answering. Like, of course, like we are part of the community as well.
And we know what it's like to not hear from like places like Tubi and stuff, right? Like we know what that's like as on that side too. So it is something that's important.
They're a big company. Many big companies are out there, and they're, of course, they're very busy and whatnot. We just want to make sure, even as we're busy now, to always try and keep that connection with everybody. I think it's always going to be a number one for us for sure.
That's so admirable, honestly, because like, yeah, again, that's just another thing that you guys have to juggle on top of everything, is also being so approachable to your filmmakers. My mind boggles at how you guys managed to do it. Is there a particular found footage film that you really like? Like, I know we were talking a little bit about the history of it all, and like,
different.
Sorry, which one is it?
Every day.
Yep.
He always has a different.
I always have a different
choice.
one. I can never come up with one favorite. So every podcast I do or answer on an AMA is always going to be different. You probably have standards, and I have different ones all the time.
Found footage, I'd say my number one is probably Paranormal Activity 7, Next of Kin. Obsessed. I love The Taking of Deborah Logan, which ironically, we're all in Canada, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we have it on Found, but it's only available in the US. So I don't get to watch that movie. But I love that one too. Those are like a couple of my top favorites, but like, man, the indie ones that are coming out are so entertaining. Like, I don't know if I can pick a favorite anymore, honestly, because I love our filmmakers so much that I'm like, I love all of your movies. Like, you're all so brilliant in your different ways. And so, anyway, that's a terrible question and answer for me to.
I never have a favorite. It's definitely all over the map, because we love entertainment, right? So you're always, even music, I don't even have a favorite color.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah. Is it safe to say you guys have probably watched like every movie that's on your platform?
No. That's where we go.
That was gonna be like, how?
It's on. It's like while I'm working, it might be on here on the TV while I'm working, and I'll be watching a bit. And we try and watch, as many or most.
We rely on a lot of other people to be able to, give their opinions, and we have like a couple of people who are really helping us with things like submissions. We watch every single submission we get. That we do. But when we're out searching for things, like we do have a list of probably I don't know, over 100 requests from people.
Yeah, and like a list of probably 2,000 found footage
Right.
films
Yeah.
based on Letterboxd and IMDb lists and just, people's top 10 so that we
Yeah.
can look at that and start, it's one of my fun projects is to try and scour and license and have fun bringing
It's
films.
like
So,
Indiana Jones, you've said before. It's
yeah,
like
Indiana
that's
Jones.
That is very Indiana Jones. I'm not gonna lie. I fully expected you guys to be like, we've because I'm just expecting you guys to do all the things all at once, and I'm just like, yeah, you guys don't stop.
It's fun though, because it's fun to find even classics that people are like, oh, there's this film that I don't know where to find. It's a common, let's call it, problem in our style of filmmaking. I don't know where to find it, or whatever the case is, and I have fun trying to get to the filmmakers or the distributors, and yeah, that kind of fun stuff.
It's sometimes hard to find something that you don't know exists. Like you can't Google a movie that you've never heard of. So if you have some place to go to where it's like, hey, if you like this type of thing, here's a list of things that you might like. Because say you go to Tubi or somewhere, they have a list of like every horror movie. It may
Right.
not distinguish whether or not it's found footage or in the specific style you like.
Yeah, and we can see that when we look at the viewer data. We get that question constantly from filmmakers, what's trending? What style of found footage should I be making? And it really is what we put out, because that's exactly it. Brandon, they're like, I like this style of movie, so I will go to the platform and what do you want me to see?
Yeah,
And they'll watch
know.
it and they'll enjoy it, which is really cool as fans to just enjoy what's presented to them, which means as creators, you can create what you want to create without trying to follow a trend or, that style. Again, perfect for the podcast, right?
I was just gonna say on the other side of things, I think it's really cool that like if a movie is hard to find or it's hard to like find any information about, it's probably because someone made it and then like it didn't really get recepted, it didn't get that great of a reception or whatever, and like the filmmaker has basically just like withdrawn it from public life or whatever. And here you guys go, you go out and you find it and you're like, no, we care about this movie. We want to bring this movie into our family and like show it. And like it just keeps that filmmaker going for one more day.
Yeah.
And we've had that happen. We really have had that happen. It's like, wow, I did not realize this film was going to be something that the fans would love. It was, like you said, either just, they put it out somewhere or didn't go. And we've had that happen. And we're so excited that we can keep building the excitement in the fan base so that filmmakers can
do what they love.
Just do what they love.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I noticed too, you guys promote your platform, but you also promote new movies coming out. Like I've seen my own I'm Haunted series. Watch this movie. And actually on X, I guess, Twitter, some of those like super fans that we've just met in the last couple months, I met through you guys. They saw your post, watched it, reached out to me, and then they ended up watching my entire library of films, not only the found footage, but also Grotesque and the other ones. And all of a sudden now, they reached out, they bought DVDs off of me and movie posters, but it was all because of like one Twitter post you guys made, which like Tubi or Amazon would never ever mention like one specific filmmaker unless they were Hollywood level. So it's kind of like, yeah, if you're a filmmaker out there and you have a found footage film, or if you even are thinking about making a found footage film, by all means, like going to Found TV is like the best way to promote your movie.
Cool to hear.
That's amazing. I love that story. Thank you.
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah, and Monica's been crazy on like organizing, the socials, and being a community driver and getting creators involved and influencers and, and taking a little bit of my marketing background to some planning on, press and whatnot. We're filmmakers and creators too. That's what we, love and want to continue to try and develop our own films as well and work with filmmakers with originals and exclusives. And so we kind of saw what was missing. I mean, everybody always says it. Oh, it'd be great and what a distributor should do and this and that. And we're like, well, somebody should do it and for real, by filmmakers for filmmakers, like, and actually do it, so we're excited that it's starting.
And I even loved like your monthly meetings, because like I'm not really a huge found footage fan. I didn't even realize it was a thing. Like I'd heard of Blair Witch, obviously Paranormal Activity, like I knew it existed, but I didn't know there was lots of them. So when I made I'm Haunted, I was like, yeah, I'm just trying to make something fun that's not too expensive. I didn't realize that there's a genre of this. But in these monthly meetings, that's like, oh, I'm meeting other people from all over North America, and it's like, oh, there's other people kind of doing this in their own neck of the woods. And the one guy was saying how they went to was it like Burning Man, or some sort of festival, and they basically just grabbed their phones. They didn't script it, but they had a story, and they kind of just broke off into pairs or little groups and just filmed them doing stuff at this festival, so it looked like they had this hugely expensive set with all this cool stuff there. But meanwhile, they're just filming a story and editing it together. And so it's like, oh, so I'm kind of grabbing ideas from these other people, and now I'm thinking like, okay, if I do another found footage movie, like, well, what are some other like different directions I could take it in?
Oh,
Well,
amazing. I love that. Okay, yeah, so you're just gonna end up coming back
Yeah,
for
that's great.
more and more
Yeah,
found
but it's
footage.
yeah, you're right. You're getting the collaboration of ideas now, right?
Yeah, that's so important too when you're in a community like that to be able to share things because everybody's going to bounce ideas off of each other and get that inspiration, that motivation, especially when you see other people making films and you're just like, especially if you're stuck, I find when you're with people who have like that same mindset and who are in that same kind of genre as you, that's just going to like push you to do more.
can I ask you guys, have you ever, when people think found footage, they like immediately you go to horror and we bring up have you guys ever seen like non-horror found footage? Please tell me about them. I'm wondering if there's ever
Yeah,
been like
horror.
a rom-com found footage.
No, but we've seen like more of crime or thriller.
Yeah.
That's something that we even have. Of course, there's Alien and there's the creature stuff, like the Bigfoot thing is less horror but more.
And like mystery ones
Yeah,
and but yeah, Borat is a
yeah, Borat.
Borat
It
is a
is,
Yeah.
movie.
Like not as in found the tapes, but
Yeah.
that style of
but like a mockumentary style and like, yeah.
yeah. We've seen a little bit different than just a horror, like a slasher only or paranormal, which are some of my favorite. But we've definitely seen a wider
I think in the last,
piece of the
even
genre.
in the last like couple years, I feel like there's more filmmakers in different genres that are starting to like reach out and try and do. It's just because it's another take on filmmaking, right? And I think it's really interesting, especially in the time we are in when so many people, especially like, us millennials or like Gen Z, we're always on our phones and people are looking at TikTok. We're used to watching people with that, like, in-world camera idea. So I think that I feel like we'll probably start to see a lot more of that in every genre for that reason, because it is something that we're also used to watching naturally, anyways, that we might be more drawn to that.
Yeah, you have to imagine there's more vertical screens out there in the world than there are horizontal screens at this point, or like there's at least as many vertical screens as horizontal screens. So I've always been wondering, like when I think there maybe was a streaming service at one point, but I think I've always wondered when there'll be like media optimized for a vertical screen and what that would look like.
Yeah, we just had a meeting today and discussed that.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That's
How are
I'm
something
we-
that
I'm a cinema purist. Like I will die on that hill that I will never. No amount of money will get me to film something vertical. It's so easy. It's like just turn it this way and you're good. It's yeah. It's just one of those. It's like it
Yeah.
ceases to be a film if it's vertical. I mean, that's just me being old fashioned, maybe, but
it would definitely have to be how the person consumes that. So it would
Yeah.
be more like
Yes.
2 minutes cliffhanger, wait for the next mini episodes. I
Yes.
believe it. Less a hour and a half vertical. I don't think that would be the way it goes,
No,
but
not for us.
yeah, it would
that's the
be
way we would take it.
those would be basically on our socials more than
Mhm.
on Found TV, the TV channel, I guess you
Yeah.
call it. But there's a world out there, right? There's
Yeah.
a world out there.
I mean, I love when filmmakers play with the formula, and I think, like you were saying, in the time that we're in right now, we have like 100 years of film history plus. I think at this point, and like at this point, like play with every single formula. At this moment, I'm in my brain, I'm trying to rack my brain, trying to be like, how would one make a found footage rom com? And
Yeah.
like,
yeah,
this
it's
is
hard
copyright.
because
Nobody steal my idea. I'm gonna think about it.
because even doing the horror stuff, like I'm sure every found footage filmmaker has the problem. It's like, why are these people filming it? And once the scary stuff happens, why would they stop filming it? So every
Yeah.
scene has to be like, why would you be filming? So if it's on a rom-com, I mean, like, you really go on a date and film the entire thing enough to like
Well, in a
sum up your
documentary style,
relationship?
maybe like we could break it down a little bit, but like I mean, you do at this point. Like, how many first date selfies do people take, or like do a little like live stream? Like, there's so many possibilities of what
There
could
is
happen.
like if you thought about it, you could Faizel. That's your new homework. Is
Listen, I got my pen, I got my book. I'm gonna figure it out.
Yeah, well, everybody's recording everything nowadays, no matter what they see,
Yeah.
good or bad. And yeah, you guys are right. As long as you could sort of make that part of the story where why somebody is recording,
I mean,
it makes sense.
a YouTuber, I think she's a YouTuber or some kind of an influencer, and she goes on dates and records them. But she goes on dates with like celebrities or something like that. I can't remember. I've only seen a couple of them. But she like has her camera set up and they know they're all on camera.
The chicken
But like,
shop girl, right?
yeah. Exactly. So
She's
I mean,
great.
totally be something like that, right? And here's like a little secret that's completely not what we're talking about today, but like my like junk food is Christmas rom-coms, and I love writing them when I need a break from horror stuff. And so I'm working on one right now that is
Oh,
mockumentary.
hey.
So
Ah,
you totally picked up on that. I was like, oh my gosh, that's so funny because we've just been talking about
Yeah.
how I wanted to set that up. So
Well,
yes, it's a good idea. You should go for it too.
I've been
Totally.
developing a script because I've been watching a little bit of the. I don't know if you guys have been watching what's been going on in the IRL streaming space and like what's been happening in there. But like
Yeah.
I've been developing a script because like the idea of people like going out and filming themselves and getting into it, like it seems like it's rife for like storytelling. You can mine it for so many stories just based on what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, humans are awesome for stories, that's for sure.
so I guess big question is now that you guys have started your platform and it's up and running, how's it going? Like, would you say it's a success?
Yeah.
Way more than we expected at this point, for sure. We've been around like October 1st is when we launched. So it's just been a few months and yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely way more
server
than we
costs are going
expected.
up, which is great. You could see the buzz and the excitement. The filmmakers are having a blast, getting their films and coming to us with, how do we work together and ideas and that kind of thing. And again, it's been, 4 months as of this podcast right now. But it's funny when you look back at the business plan where you were typing away out, this is the ideas that we think would happen, and then it just starts to play out. We just had our theatrical test in January, and it did so well. So we're like, cool, that works. We know people want to see found footage in the theaters, great, and so we want to start expanding that when it's ready to go. But yeah, the
Yeah,
idea
can you
is
tell us more about that?
That was an idea we had kind of right from the beginning, just as a way to again support filmmakers and build our community. So we never get to see found footage in theaters. It's almost
very
never,
rare
yeah, it's
anyway.
almost
Yeah.
never going to be in theaters. And that was something that we started asking people right when we launched. Anytime somebody would register for an account, we would send them out a survey so we can like hear more about what they're looking for in a platform and really like take in their feedback. And one of the things we asked was about theatrical. And it was like a 99% of people were like, yes, we want to see found footage in movie theaters. The other 1% were people who lived rural, like in rural areas. And they're like, I'm 2 or 3 hours away from one, so I can't go see it, but I would love to if I could. So you're like, okay, we've got something here. So yeah, we tested in January. At a very, very small location and then a huge one in Toronto. And both of them did extremely well, more than what we expected. And so, yeah, that was just our test run. We wanted to just see kind of how it would go. It's a bit of marketing. And now we will start to expand that now later in the year and continue to grow out theaters. And we plan to do that every month and bring, in each city, have their own found footage community, be able to gather the same way like sport fans get to gather at football games or hockey games, right? Like we want to all gather in a place. So that's kind of like what our plan is.
Yeah, the key is the community, right? It's not just a streaming platform. I know that's like one piece of the core because everybody has a spot they can go to and watch films. But as we build that community, there's places to everybody to enjoy and have fun, and theaters is one of them.
Yeah, we were on our last episode. We were talking to Jason Horton, who's I don't know if you know him. He's a filmmaker in the U.S. and he gives a lot of advice for indie filmmakers on his YouTube channel, and yeah, kind of his big thing too, which I'm starting to see is that like streaming, while popular, doesn't make you a hell of a lot of money. It's important, but it's not the be all end all. So it's like if you want to make a living, you have to find other ways to monetize it rather than the pennies you get per stream. So the good thing with streaming is you can reach theoretically everyone in the world. So it has that big net to cast. But I find like even selling DVDs, like I sell one DVD and I make as much as I do on like 1,000 streaming views, and that's like real cash. If I could sell like 20 DVDs, it's like wow, that's that's like rent money for the next month. It's like real cash, and there's things like T-shirts and all that stuff. It advertises like your product, but it also brings you in money. So I like that you're like this is not one thing you're doing. Like there's multiple revenue streams in it.
And
Yeah.
that's exactly why. That is exactly why we
Yeah,
did it that way.
absolutely. Yeah, I had a chunk of time where I was in music and, with Spotify and their streams, it was all brand building for artists and to get to album sales and the live shows and, the tours and everything else. So it's a very similar, when we step back, it's like we couldn't just be a streaming platform. It's like, let's build a brand, Found, but also help build, the I'm Haunted brand, so you have so many eyeballs, maybe you get a small product placement deal because it's going to be on 100 some odd countries. That helps you. Plus there could be people want the physical and the t-shirt, and it helps build your brand. And you're exactly right.
And your followers continue, and then whatever it is that you come out as, a filmmaker, whatever you come out with in the future, you've got that core following for yourself. And yeah, that's really what it's all about.
And if people want to go find Found TV online, is it found.tv? Is that the website?
Yeah, we have Found.tv. Yeah. And foundtv.com.
Found.tv. Yeah. Whatever.
Yeah, I found you guys are very active on Facebook and I think Instagram and X. I think those are the three places I see you pop up. I'm not on any other platform, so maybe you're there, but I just don't see them. But
LinkedIn.
I'm on Reddit a
and
lot.
YouTube.
We're all over.
All right, well, we're almost out of time here. So, is there anything? Do you want to tell people? Is there anything else you wanted to share before we wrap it up?
To me, a big thank you.
Yeah.
To, obviously everybody who loves found footage that they, are supporting in any way, and thank you to the filmmakers too for creating such great entertainment that the fans love.
And we encourage anybody who's watching or listening right now to go out and make a film.
Yeah.
Like everyone, we all have cell phones. Just go. Even if it's just a couple minutes just to try it out. You never know.
Yeah, there's a story.
Yeah.
Unless it's found footage rom-com, in which case stay out of my field.
Faizel's gonna corner the market on that. I'll do found footage musical. We'll see how
Oh man, that will be so good if you're just walking around and people just burst into song like flash dancing.
Cool. All right, guys. Thanks so much for coming on, and hope to talk to you again in the near future.
Awesome.
Have a good day, guys.
Bye, guys.